are amazing, unpredictable, loving, chill. All right. We're going to go on to the next slide because I want us to keep thinking about what's another personality or identity trait that we can think about. Okay, so we're going to go to the second question. And I really want you to think about this. What's the skill or strength particular to you? Something that you are good at. It could be a hobby, right? It could be a trait. Like, I'm an honest person. Or maybe I'm really good at basketball. Or perhaps I'm a great listener. Yeah. Reading, singing, editing, doing hair. We've got some aesthetic people here. Yeah, feelings, reading feelings, taekwondo, cooking and reading are big. Okay, so I was reading about the Nigerian community, right? Nigerian American. And I've heard really, really ambitious. Is that something that would be accurate? I see head nod. Right? So like competitive, ambitious. I heard very. Okay, great. Look at all of those different things. Memory. Somebody wrote memory, track, gaming. Okay. So what I want to actually ask you guys is, how was that? Because when I'm in counseling, right, and I'm one-on-one with somebody, oftentimes I have this invitation to ask questions. So what are your weaknesses or what you perceive as areas of growth? And guess what happens? People shoot off a list. Oh, I need to be more this. I should have been more this. I should try harder. I'm too lazy. And then I ask them, okay, what's your strength? And you know, more often than not, silent. More often than not, people get dumped. They're like, that's hard. So for how many of you did it take a moment or was it difficult to think of something? What am I good at? Or what's my personality? With a show of hands. Anybody who kind of struggled? I see a few. Okay, I see some more. What about the guys? Did you guys struggle? Or you guys were like, I know my strengths. Yeah, there was some struggle. So some of us are pretty sure about where we are, what we represent, what we want to do, and some of us are still on that exploration journey. Well, here's why identity is important. Because when we know who we are, we have direction. When we don't, it's really confusing. Things can be so unclear, right? It can be a more and then we're susceptible to the people around us and what they're doing, and we just kind of want to go with that. Well, if my auntie is saying that I'm a stubborn brat, then I guess I'm a stubborn brat, right? If my friends are kind of doing a certain thing, maybe that's what I want to be doing too. They're pursuing the medical field, maybe I should, right? So when we're not strong in that, and what we want, what Allah has endowed us with, it can get really confusing really fast. But when we do have a good sense of our identity, it provides us with a straight path. It provides us with a direction. We know where we're going. No matter what's changing around us, no matter who's taking what winding roads, right? We get direction. We have some clarity. It's not as confusing. And then we're confident too. Confident of, okay, what we want to build in, and confident in what I'm really good at. Okay, so what are some aspects that make up our identity? Let's think about it, right? Characteristics. There could be physical characteristics, there could be personality-related characteristics. And then there's preferences. I really like Taco Fuego, and I don't like that Thai soup. I forgot what it's called. It sounds like pho. Not a fan of pho, right? So that's just a preference, just giving an example. Skills and abilities. Okay, so we talked about that. You stated so many a variety of abilities. Family roles. Who over here is the firstborn? Raise your hand. Firstborn. Oh dear Lord, that's a lot. MashaAllah. Who are the babies?
Yourself.
Okay, we got babies. And who are the middle kiddos? Okay. Looks like we have mostly like the elder kids, right? So sometimes we describe ourselves according to our family role. You know, my nani. What do you guys call grandma? Grandma. That's it? Y'all don't have like a different name?
Huh? And strong angels of Allah will be protected.
Nana. Okay, yeah, that's close to me. On my dad's side, I would call her Dadi. And on my mom's side, I would call her Nani. Again, I'm Pakistani, so we have a word for everything. But you know, my Nani, I'm going to give you an example. Her identity, she was solid. She knew who she was. Okay? When we're talking about her characteristic physical, she is a short, kind of round, really huggable lady, but a strong lady. So she's in a small package, but she's fiery. She was fiery, rahimahullah. And she definitely knew she was opinionated. She knew what she wanted to do. For example, one time I was a teenager and I started experimenting with, trying to look nice, and I decided to wear some garish lipstick, and she said, Selena, you look like a donkey with red lipstick on. And I was like, okay, thank you, Nani. So she's opinionated. She knows what she wanted. And she was really, really connected to her beliefs. Okay? She understood what she wanted. She was anchored in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. She relied on him. And she went through countless things. So her mother was a maid. And she herself described how sometimes she would pick up the scraps as a child, and those would be those special days where she gets to eat the scraps from the home they were serving. So, her experience shaped her, her beliefs shaped her, her physical characteristics shaped her. She thought she was a pretty, she said, I'm an attractive woman. I'm old now. So, we're talking about confidence. Those are the things that kind of make you guys up too. And me. Sure that she was also the eldest. Wanted to make a distinction about something, okay? Our identity can be based on those things that are totally stable, okay? So things that we haven't chosen, we're born with. So what are some of those things that we're born with and you can't really change? Scream it out. Eye color, your genes, your race. Yeah. I mean, we can sit there and try to wear contact lenses and change our eye color or our height by wearing heels, right? But really, that doesn't truly change. It stays stable about us. But then there are those things that we can change, and we have a choice in that matter. So while personality, for the most part, is something that we're born with, okay? Like, for example, all of y'all were babies once, little babies. Do you guys hear stories about what type of personality you had? I see nods, right? My daughter and my son, now they're both going to college. But my daughter, when she was a baby, I raised her inside of me for 9 months by the grace of Allah. But when she was born, I could tell she didn't trust people easily. She was somebody who it took time to trust her. She loved her dad. Even as a baby, she'd hold her hands up when I would hold her. Like, and then she'd lay her head on her dad. So from the beginning, she was a little more cautious, not as trusting. She was a little more skeptical, right? And I would even say like observant, very observant. Then came my son. My son would go to anybody, everybody, all he wanted was to chug down some milk. And he was a happy boy, right? Really bubbly, fun-loving. And these were just the aspects that they're born with, and they still carry, even now. It hasn't, that at the core, that hasn't really fundamentally changed. But the character, that's a choice, y'all. That's a choice. That's driven by our Islamic values. And that's our obligation. Personality is not an obligation. That's just something we're given, right? But when it comes to our character, we have a duty, guys. Okay, so I wanted to make that distinction.
Many of us may not know the
and then move on to
details about
motivations,
La
right?
ilaha
These
illallah.
are more aspects
We have
that
to let them
create
know that
our identity.
La
So
ilaha
some people are motivated
illallah.
by
There is no other God that deserves to be
people.
worshipped
Okay?
except
I'm going to say that as a
God
recovering people
Almighty
pleaser.
Allah.
So
La
people pleasing.
ilaha,
Some
there is
people
no
are driven
other
by
God
feeling good.
that
Oh, this
can
makes me feel
help
awesome,
them
so I want to do it.
except who?
But some people are
Allah.
driven by the opposite.
There is no other
Some of us
God
just want to avoid
that
feeling
can
terrible.
protect them except
Okay,
who?
or being
Allah.
criticized or
There is
labeled,
no
and
other
that can
God
motivate us.
that can provide
And then
for
there's
them
these social
except
groups
who?
too that we join.
Allah.
Well,
So that
those
when
can
they get to
identify
school,
us as well.
and
Is it
somebody
really
is telling
clicky at
them
y'all
that,
schools? Like
for
you've got little
example,
cliques?
Jesus will take
Yeah,
care of
some
you.
of it. Yeah. So sometimes people
And then
identify
third
from the,
piece is when I
like
was
during my
baby,
time, you had the
that the only
debaters,
one that will
right?
take care of me,
And then
that
you
will
had the
take care of
academics,
me
and then you had the
is
semi-academics.
Allah.
It was pretty
And
weird.
that is why we as
But
Muslims,
I don't know what it's like
in our
now, but
salat, we are
usually there's
saying,
still some social groups.
Alhamdulillah,
And then there are our beliefs.
Rabbil
See, our beliefs,
Alameen.
they are
All
created.
thanks
We
belongs
kind of
to
start
Allah,
building on
Rabbil
it through what we
Alameen,
see,
the
through our
one that is the
experience, through what we
Lord of
felt,
the whole
right?
world.
And in our
Rabbil
culture right
the
now,
one
in the
that is
American
taking care of
culture
them.
here,
Rabb,
that's
the one
big.
that is
Do what
protecting
makes you
them.
feel good.
Rabb,
You do you,
the one
man.
that is
Right?
providing for them.
Just go with it.
And also as
Um,
Muslims,
Go
we
with
have to
what your
teach our
heart tells
children.
you. Okay, to
Since
some
when they are
extent,
babies,
that's
we
okay.
have to teach
But
them
basing
and let
solely
them
on our
know
emotions,
that La
there's
ilaha
kind of an issue
illallah
there.
means no
So
one
not
can
to say that
protect
there's no
them
space
except
for our
who?
emotions and our
Allah.
thoughts
Even
and our
when they are
experiences.
sick,
Look,
no one
emotion,
can heal them
they're
except
signals.
who?
For example, when
Except
you are
Allah.
anxious
May Allah
about taking a
subhanahu wa ta'ala make it
test,
easy
what
for
is
all of
that
us.
feeling telling you to do?
Another role that we
Go
as
study. Yeah.
we need to
What'd you say?
play in making sure that we are saving
It's
our
maybe saying
we are
go and
saving
study
our
or do
children
something
from the
about it. Take
hellfire
steps.
is
If
to
you
let
are
them
scared of
grow
something,
in the path
right?
of Allah.
It's also
Let
a
them do
signal.
what?
What could it be
Let
telling
them
you?
grow in the path of Allah.
Protect
Let them
yourself.
grow in the
Or
house
maybe
of Allah.
sometimes fear is telling you,
Please,
you know,
brothers
maybe
and
we need to
sisters,
face that
this
fear,
is our
right?
responsibility.
So there's
Remember the
signals.
hadith of Prophet
But guys,
Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam,
these
when
thoughts,
he
our
said,
logic, our senses, they're not 100% accurate. Sometimes we're biased or it's our perspectives affecting
there are
us.
7 people.
So I want you guys to watch a little video that kind of demonstrates our issue with basing our identity solely on our feelings, emotions, and experiences.
They are the young ones that grow in the ibadah of Allah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Many of us today, our children, they've known when we are praying. Am I right? At times when they are 2, 3 years old, they will join us. Even if they don't know what to say, they will do the way we did, and they will begin to ruku, they go to sujood, and they will grow with it like that. When they will know that there is Fajr, there is Dhuhr, there is Asr, Maghrib, and Isha. It means that we are training them and we are making sure that they grow in the Ibadah of Allah. I know doctors have been doing it. Please, you have to do more. Let all your children grow in the Ibadah of Allah. If the children can grow in the Ibadah of Allah, inshallah, when they reach the college, they will still be worshiping Allah. When they graduate from the college and they move to another city, another state, they will still remember that they have to worship Allah. And I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make it easy for you. Another thing we need to teach our children, we have to teach them how to give in the path of Allah. Teach them how to do what? How to give in the path of Allah. If we start teaching our children how to give in the path of Allah, if it is $1, then give to Allah. It's a responsibility. Teach them how to do that. By teaching them or training them how to do that, when they grow, they too will know that their Jannah should be bought or it will be bought through what their contributions towards Allah. And I pray that Allah will make it easy for all of us. And again, as Muslims, We have to train our children that they have to respect their parents. By doing that, we are saving them from the hellfire. We are doing what? We are saving them from the hellfire. If they know that it is their duty, it's part of their responsibility to take care of their parents. Remember, hadith of Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. When the Prophet was planning the member, and the Prophet was saying, ah, the companions of Prophet, they were looking at him. Why? He was saying, Amin. And he said, Amin the second time. Why Amin? And in the third time, he said, Amin. Then one of the companions, he said, Ya Rasulullah. Are you with me? In the first instance, when you say Amin, what was the reason? And what was the reason for the second one? And what was the reason for the third one?
Prophet All right, so tell me, what are some takeaways about basing our identities after seeing that video, just on what we're seeing and our experiences and our thoughts?
Whoever among you that my name was mentioned in his or her presence, and
it may not actually be who you're
no doubt about
it. May not actually, what we're seeing, it may not be based on reality, you guys. Look how quickly he hacked into our brain, right? And this is something many people describe. They felt for the first second a pain. Like they actually felt the pain in their stomach and in their hand, their phantom hand. So how insane is that? All right, another thing. What does this represent to you? This Royal Dance Danish cookie box? Anybody? A place where you keep your hair supplies. And what do you say? Sewing, right? Lies. A cookie. So you see, we could all be right and we could all be wrong too. The point I'm trying to describe is, if we use our logic, like say a Caucasian person walks in, they're going to see this cookie jar. You take this and pass it to the person.
Live with any of his parents in this world.
Yeah,
and he or she was unable.
So if we just based it on our logic, right? A Caucasian person may say, well, there's going to be cookies inside. But y'all, with your experiences, sewing kit, right? Like hair supplies, lies. So it could be any of those things. So it's not always effective to say, well, I'm going to use my logic. Even despite using our logic, we could be wrong. We don't know everything. And this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gifted us the Quran, the truth, the criterion. Because guys, we of course are imperfect. We don't know everything. I mean, think about this. Even animals. Y'all know bumblebees can see more colors than us? They can, yeah, many of you do. And we all know that dogs can actually hear and smell much better than human beings. And if we look at the hadith, right, these animals, roosters and dogs, can see the ghaib. They can see the angels and they can see the shaitan. They're actually able to see all of these things. We cannot. We have veils in front of our eyes. So that tells us we need to humble ourselves and remember that, yes, we continue to cultivate our thinking, our emotions, right? But at the same time, we don't know everything. And this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent His word as a guidance. Oh, here we go. So call to action number 1. Knowing these things, that our senses can be tricked, we have got to safeguard our senses. So, reading the Quran and nourishing, right? So, a lot of the stuff we see on social media, oh man, they kept advertising the same stuff, and believe me, I didn't mean to, but I ended up buying the product. Have any of y'all fallen into that nonsense? Oh my gosh. They are so persistent. But, if you're exposed to it again and again and again, eventually it does impact us. So not going to certain things, not exposing ourselves to becoming vulnerable in that way is important. So safeguard our senses and then nourish them. Okay? We owe our bodies. They're an amana. They're a trust. So going into the sun and getting fresh air, reading Quran to replenish our souls. We want to nourish those senses. Okay.
And provide for them.
Yes.
As we are praying to Allah to provide for them,
wanted to tell you guys a story, right? Well, first, I guess I should read the Quran. Who would like to read the verse? From here. Just read it off the thing, yeah. Okay, no worries.
And it may be that you dislike the thing which is good for you, and that you like the thing which is bad for you.
So was there a time where you were like, I really want to do this, but somebody's telling me it's bad for me? Tell me about it.
Okay, so there was this class that I was going to take for school. I thought it was going to be like really easy. And it was like honors chemistry. And then my friend was like, don't take it because like, it's going to be hard. I ended up taking it and I didn't fail. I did not fail. But there was this test I got like 15 on. It's not bad. It's not bad. 15 So I ended up begging my teacher, and he raised it up to 7.
Hey, Allah was involved in that. Allahu Akbar. From a 15 to a 70. So let me grab y'all's attention again. Right? So he described that at that time, all logic led to just take the chemistry test, right? But it ended up being something that perhaps wasn't the best decision. Let me tell you about my daughter when she was a baby, okay? I saw her crawling around on the floor, and I'm like, she's so cute. Look at her. What is she trying to find behind the couch? She's digging behind the couch, and she comes out chewing. And I'm like, what is in her mouth? So I hold her and I said, open your mouth. She did it. So I held her and said, open your mouth. And I held her mouth and she started struggling. It was a cockroach. It was a cockroach. I grabbed her mouth, held her hands down as she was trying to fight me, and she started crying. And I stuck my finger and scooped out the cockroach and its antenna, and its broken legs. Now she's crying and crying, right? Like I am this terrorist, this person who's victimizing her. But y'all tell me. Y'all tell me. Was that as a mother who loves her? Could I just let her eat a cockroach and expose herself to disease? No. But she didn't know any better. She was like, I'm having my fun. I have something crunchy in my mouth. What is the problem? Right? So that's just a small example of why trusting what Allah SWT destined for us is important. Okay, I wanted to talk about a little more of the biases that we have. Okay? Some of the biases that we have, if you look at the screen, one's called the physical, well, I call it the physical attractiveness stereotype, but really, it's called the halo effect in social psychology. So there's a little video. There's a little video, and I want y'all to watch it.
ọmọ wa náà Yẹsìn ọlọ́ba ni wò ó ọlọ́ba ni dá sí ọlọ́run sẹ́ni ọlọ́lá sẹ́ni onípò sẹ́ni ọmọ olóríire ọmọ alálùbáríkà àwọn àgbẹ̀ ẹ̀ tó bá láyé náà jẹ́ kan náà alálùbáríkà ọmọ ẹnì kọ̀ọ̀kan náà wà náà lọ́ba ń sábà ní wò wọ́n ọlọ́run bá ní dá wọn sí alájọ kan sọ̀rọ̀ ọlọ́run Allahumma barik lana fiha.
ọlọ́run jẹ́ kí ọmọ wa yìí ọlọ́run jí ó lálùbáríkà.
Allahumma barik lana fiha.
May Almighty Allah bless our newborn baby.
Allahumma barik lana fiha. فيها
Olúwa bá wa fi àlùbáríkà sínú ayé bàbá rẹ̀.
وبارك لنا في أمها
Bá wa fi àlùbáríkà sínú ayé màmá rẹ̀.
اللهم بارك لنا في جيب أبيها
Olúwa bá wa fi owó ńláńlá àsìkí ńláńlá sínú àpò bàbá ẹ̀.
وبارك لنا في ثدي أمها
Olúwa bá wa rọ̀jò àlùbáríkà sínú ọyàn tí ìyá ẹ̀ máa fún ọmọ yìí.
برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين
Pẹ̀lú kẹ́rẹ̀ àánú rẹ̀ la fi ń béèrè fún gbogbo ìdílé yìí.
اللهم اجعلها مسلما
Olúwa ṣe ọmọ wa Yasmin yìí ní mùsùlùmí lóbìnrin.
واجعلها مؤمنا
Ṣé ọmọ wa Yasmin yìí lọ́mọ tí ó gbà fọ́lọ́run tí ó gbà fọ́lọ́run ní kọ̀rọ̀.
واجعلها تقيا
Ṣé ọmọ wa yìí lẹ́ni tí ó páyà Ọlọ́run ní kọ̀rọ̀ àti gbangba.
واجعلها مؤمنا
Olúwa ṣe Yasmin lẹ́ni tí ó jupá jusẹ̀lẹ̀ fọ́lọ́run.
واجعلها صالحا
Ṣé ọmọ wa lọ́mọ rí tá a fi tọrọ.
واجعلها برا لوالديها
Ṣé Yasmin lọ́mọ dùnnú fáwọn òbí ẹ̀.
واجعلها برا
There we go.
للأمة
Ọlọ́run ṣe
Okay,
Yasmin
so that
lọ́mọ rí
halo
fún
effect.
gbogbo àwa
It's
tá a
been
jẹ́
studied again and
àlùmọ́.
again. And believe it or not,
Wá ṣe
we are
Yasmin lọ́mọ táwọn
primed
fi yàn ká
sometimes
Nàìjíríà
to think
pàápàá.
that people who are, according to our culture,
Ọlọ́run ò
attractive
ṣe ọmọ wa
are
yìí
going to be
lọ́mọ dáadáa
smarter,
ní gbogbo ìlú
are
Amẹ́ríkà
going
yìí.
to be more good-hearted, more philanthropic, doing more charity.
Ìkẹ́ rẹ̀ àánú rẹ̀ là ń
These
béèrè
are
o.
guys, our brain gets tricked, and guess what happens? Who do
Olúwa
you
wa ń
think
béèrè
profits
fún ọmọ
from
wa
these
Yasmin gbogbo tí
biases?
ń jo oore tó fìtì ẹ̀ bá wa ṣe fún.
The what?
Lé oore yìí tó súnmọ́ àbẹ́
The
oore yìí tó
better looking
jìnnà.
people, but who think bigger? Who's
Àwọn oore tá a lè
profiting
máa
off of
mọ̀
us,
àbẹ́
man?
tá à ń fọkàn rò Ọlọ́run bá wa ṣe fún.
Elon Musk?
Máa bá wa sọ
The
Yasmin ní gbogbo aburú
capitalistic
pátá.
society. Why do you think, there's something called attention
Àbúrò èyí tó
economy?
súnmọ́ wa àbẹ́ èyí tó
Whoever
jìnnà
has
bá wa
most of
ṣe
our
fún.
attention, that's like money to them.
Gbogbo ibù tó
So
burú
they're
jù
trying to
Ọlọ́run
use
tá a máa
celebrity
ké tá a máa
culture
bá wa
and
sọ bẹ́ẹ̀.
whatnot to kind of trick us. Having that awareness, guys, is empowering. Knowing that,
Ọlọ́run
okay,
àwa ń béèrè
if
fún
I'm
ọmọ wa
looking at a
Yasmin
celebrity
yìí
and
gbogbo
they're
táwọn
going
ẹni rẹ̀
out of
àwọn
their
ẹni
way to look
síwájú ti
this
béèrè ní
attractive,
rere fáwọn
trying
ọmọ
to impact
síwájú
my
bá wa ṣe fún
brain and
Yasmin náà.
thinking, oh, they're smarter, better, and therefore if I'm like them, I'm going to be that way.
Olúwa bá wa fi
wakes
ṣọ́ ẹ̀ sọ
you
Yasmin
up.
inú
It's
gbogbo
the
àwọn
red
aburú
pill.
táwọn
Oh
ẹni
God, tell
síwájú
me you
tó
know the
kọjá ti
matrix
tọrọ
program.
lórí àwọn ọmọ tá a ti ń bí tẹ́lẹ̀ bá wa fi ṣọ́ ẹ̀ sọ.
Kind of? Oh, come on, guys. Y'all need to go and watch them. Actually, astaghfirullah, we don't watch them. Okay, moving on. Proximity effect. The second bias that I'm talking about, the fancy name, the social psychologist name is called the propinquity effect, but it's so hard to pronounce. That basically states psychologists have found over and over that the people that you are geographically closest to, or see the most, or meet the most, even if that's virtually, right? Or through social media, eventually you're going to
Àtàlọ́
end up
àtàbọ̀ wa máa
like,
fi ṣọ́ ẹ̀ sọ wa.
you're going to end up
Já wa
being
lè tọ́jú.
different. Or
Máa bí
you're
wa
going to end
dá wa
up
lóhùn
very
gbogbo béèrè wa.
Uh-huh. So this is science, guys. They have studied it again and again. Let me tell you about my niece. My niece got married to their neighbor who lives 5 houses down. Then because they just, I guess they ran into each other. They would drive, they would see each other often, and suddenly they liked each other, and the nikah happened, and they got married. The parents. Then her younger sister started hanging out because she's living with her in-laws. So 5 houses down is where she moved. Her sister started visiting, and she's like, "Oh, sis, how are you doing? How are you adjusting?" Guess what ends up happening? She also finds a beau. She gets married to her sister's husband's cousin, who lives another 2 houses down, who comes to visit them. That right there is the proximity effect, okay? Then there's the bandwagon effect.
You pray for the baby.
Huh?
You pray for all of us.
Were they blood cousins? Oh, no. Oh, yes. They're not cousins to each other. The cousins didn't get married, but my niece's husband and his cousin, they married sisters. Get it? Yeah, that's what happened. Okay, and then there's the bandwagon effect. So the bandwagon effect is, and if you can read it, somebody who is able to read it, because honestly, my eyes, I am not able to. Who would like to read it?
I hope this is gluten free. Don't even know what that means, but it seems to be the trend these days.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's so on trend. I don't know what it's about, but I'm gonna do it, right? My daughter got into Owala bottles because like everybody's doing Owala bottles. And Stanley's. But the thing is, some trends are okay, some are not that good for us, right? But let me explain what else the bandwagon effect does. I was driving on a street and there was a traffic jam. The traffic jam opened up with 2 lanes on the left, okay? They're totally open. But everybody was not going in those 2 left lanes. And I'm like, should I not go either? Is there something happening there? No barriers, no nothing. No barriers, no nothing. And so I said Bismillah and went there. And then other cars started to follow too. So basically, all of us were just ignoring those 2 free lanes because nobody wanted to go there. That's the bandwagon effect. So here's our second call to action. We want to, knowing that the people you're around, you're going to start taking their values, their beliefs. You're going to start liking them and thinking like them. Foster friendships that have compatible values or values that you want to aspire to. So go to those masajid or to those talks or go to those athletic competitions where people are going to strive and endure, right? That's what we want to surround ourselves by. Okay, so let's talk about the pressure to conform. Many of us wear different types of masks and we switch personalities from place to place. Who can relate to that? Yeah. You're different at school, and then you're really different at home, and then maybe you're a little different at the masjid too. You got some different stuff going on. Well, that can be exhausting. When we are trying to fit in and conform, the reality is we want to anchor into our authentic selves and what our personality, what we're endowed with. Okay? It's really important that we try to do that. Because each of us are endowed with different strengths. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has very lovingly, with a lot of care, created each and every one of us with our strengths and our struggles. Because ain't nobody perfect. So every single person is given a struggle. He knows that. And then in Surah Tin, he swears not one. How many people know how many times Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swears?
So we have a culture. Imam, at this point, they will call
Who's that for?
Qadri and Sister Karima.
In the blue. Okay, in the black right there, if you get a candy. Yes, 4 times. What? أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والتين والزيتون والطور سينين وهذا البلد الأمين لقد خلقنا الإنسان في أحسن تقويم. Indeed, we created humans in the best form. Allah swore 4 times. So you are exactly as Allah wanted you to be, in the best form. You are. I am, alhamdulillah. Does that mean we need to keep improving? Oh, of course. Okay. So the Sahabas, you see, the Sahabas also had unique personalities, but they were united in Islam. Did you know that there's a poet, a Sahaba, who was a poet who basically did poetry slam to defend the Prophet ﷺ because it was so powerful, right? That was kind of like the journalism back in the day or the media. So he had that strength. Then Uthman ibn Affan radiallahu anhu was an excellent businessman and he was so generous. Then Hazrat Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, he's very soft-hearted and kind. How was Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu? What was his personality? Throw out a word. Strength. Candy. Intelligent. Mighty. Yeah, fierce in the black shirt too. Fierce and mighty, okay? And then let's think about Khadija radiallahu ta'ala anha. She was caring and supportive and patient. Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, also the wife of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, she was intelligent. She was curious. She was feisty. So these are all different personalities that are loved and appreciated by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in understanding that, our third call to action, polish those unique strengths that Allah endowed each and every one of us with and express gratitude for it. Ya Allah, alhamdulillah, that I am so good at basketball. Not me, I'm just giving an example. Right? Ya Rab, alhamdulillah, that you have blessed me with emotional intelligence, that I can be a mediator and a peacemaker. Right? These are all different things that we can be grateful for. And another takeaway is that now I want you guys to kind of pair up or form a group real quick and identify one area where you want to grow in your Muslim identity. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to come up with that and then go onto the poll everywhere and write down one tiny step that you're going to take toward it. Pair up, talk about it, help each other. Or do you guys want to do it as a group together? Okay, let's do it as a group together. I'm going to give you an example, and then you go to your phone and write down one tiny step where you want to grow, okay? So for example, if you want to be a better friend, one tiny step would be, I'm going to text my friend or, say hi to them every day. If you want to be a more kind and loving to your parents, then maybe you decide one tiny step today that I'm going to take is I'm going to smile. If you feel like you're not able to do salah, right? One tiny step would be, I'm making my intention. Ya Allah, help me. Help me wake up for that Fajr salah, right? So those are those tiny steps. What are those tiny steps? So somebody wrote, be less aggressive, right? What's a tiny step you can take in that? Perhaps it could be something like being soft, like I will talk softly, right? Be something like that. So go ahead and see what you can do there.
Thank Almighty Allah for His kindness. Thank Allah for today.
So I'm saying practicing, read Quran every day, trying to make my parents happier. Those are the broader goals. Sleep earlier, to wake up earlier. Excellent. All right. So before we go from here, that is something I want you guys to take away, right? Now let's talk about our collective Muslim identity. You know how we talked about the Sahabas and they all had their unique personalities and things to give? Look at each other right now. We've got future mothers and fathers. We've got future leaders. We've got future lawyers and educators and estheticians and doctors. We've got future advocates right here. And if y'all hone into that, just like the Ummah, right? The Sahabas were so tight-knit. How incredible were they? We can achieve big, big things together too as we unite. And as we recognize these strengths in ourselves, right? Polish that heart and get close to Allah. And then also unite with Islam in our hearts and center that as our identity. All right. So, do I have a minute? 3:35. So I have like a minute, which means not that much time. I was going to do the human table. If y'all want to, we can do it and real quick. Can I have 4 male volunteers? Do you know what the human table is? Okay, bring a chair with you guys. Any chair that's lame. Okay, bring them here and make a square. Okay, go in front of him. Get a little closer. A little more. Okay, that's fine. And now put your legs out this way. Each of you put it here. You that way, and you this way. You over here. Okay, good. Totally this way. Completely. Yeah, all of your legs. Now what you guys are going to do is get comfy. You're going to put your head on his knee. Get closer. We're making a table. Get closer. Even closer. Let's go. For this, we want to trust and make sure that we are able to depend on each other. I need two girls to help me. Okay, go ahead. All the way down. All the way down. Because I'm about to remove the chairs to show something. So lock your knees. Are you ready?
Our Imam have already said much.
Okay, push your hips up because we're about to remove the chairs. Let's go. You got to push your hips up. Oh, no, you're not. You get up. We need somebody who's a little bit taller right here. Or do you think you can do it? You'll do it. Ready? Okay, that's okay. Go back. We're going to put the chair back down, sweetie. Okay, stabilize. When I remove the chairs, push up. Ready? Okay, each of you. Bismillah.
This is how we know. This is how we organize and do in our community. By giving thanks, paying so much for showing us a beautiful child.
Okay, let's put it back.
By name Yasmin. May Allah bless the baby.
Okay, so there may have been a flaw in my plan because we're supposed to have the same height. 4 guys, the same height. Y'all want to try?
Now we have ways of do and collect money in our community.
Yes, these 4.
Because when
if you don't want to do it, don't do it.
Allah will reward
you. Ready?
And when you spend,
and then it's the end of the program, so we want to make sure we're quick about it.
But if you don't have much, you can come down to me. I give
Ready?
you my
Okay.
ATM.
Legs out this way, this way, this way. Huh? There we go.
We have machine. That's why I have machine in my car. We call it POS.
Yes, completely. Remember, you're making like a table. The chair stays this way. No.
You have to lead another follow.
Keep the chair and sit like him. Sit like he is. That way. I should just face the chairs that way. You too. Completely this way. Yes. Now you're going to lay your heads on each other's knees. So if you're not close, you need to kind of figure it out. This usually works. Complicating this time, so okay, you're going to push up with your hips, okay? You have to feel secure. Do you all feel secure right now or no? And you need to put your feet together. On your back. Remove the chairs and then put them back, okay? Go. Put it back to the chairs. Give a big round of applause for volunteers. I'm going to end with this. You see, this is an example for what we need to do for our ummah. Give me your attention for 10 seconds, guys. We have to be dependable, right? And we have to have the trust and think well of the other person. That person's got my back. And I am dependable too. Each of you had to provide some strength to the other. And that's what we want to do with our collective Muslim identity. Jazakallahu khairan. Thank you, everybody. Masjid-ul for having me.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much, Sister Selina Ali. We really enjoyed your lecture. On behalf of Muminin Youth and all of the members and attendees of the annual youth convention, we'd like to give you a little token of our appreciation.
And you can see how the children are praying around. They still want more from you because you are a doctor. Yeah. You know how it feels counting the month to the 9th month. And the baby come out warily, and what? And jejely. You are smiling. It's as if another 6 months.
Okay, we can do
because you are strong. It's strong. Okay. And you know, your wife loves you. And Baba de sọ pé the door is open for the family. Just bring it in. Abẹ́ ẹ̀kọ́ ni.
Okay, we can do. You can like stand in front and then we'll take a picture.
Ah.
You have just made any public payment ọkùnrin ṣé bí ọlọ́run ó wá complete èkejì ètorí àwọn tọ́lọ́run ti fi àbọ̀ èkíní ọkùnrin èkejì ọkùnrin ẹ̀kẹ́.
Ẹ tún fẹ́ kẹ́ ẹ fẹ́ gbé mi rìn ẹ fẹ́ ṣé Ìbàdàn ni wá níbo ni no níbo lẹ́yìn Kwara. Allahu Akbar ẹgbàá rèé wà ọmọ iye wa bàbá.
last born fún wa tó tún jẹ́ ọkùnrin ìyàwó mi ó ní orúkọ tó ń fẹ́ fún ní Olúwa ti. Obìnrin ṣùgbọ́n nìkan ò lágbára lẹ́yìn àlá.
Ohun tá a wí lọ́lọ́run ọba ṣe bólúwa ti fẹ́.
So whose stuff is this?
Allahu Akbar. Bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
Was it yours? I'm sorry. No.
Allahu Akbar. Ọlọ́run yá mọ iyì, Ọlọ́run yá mẹ̀yẹ. Bàbá tó yá yìí ní ẹ̀dá 1,500 yẹn ti ṣe lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí.
Assalamualaikum. We just found a watch, very very nice, and a snail watch. Of course, I see some crystals. And I'm just saying, if you don't want to, come and claim it, it's looking very fine, and my wrist will be blinking. So, we had a free Palestine. It was in the girls' restroom. All of you sit down. Girls' restroom. Nice watch with a.
5 minutes.
He's very united with his owner.
When I ask you, give me.
Who's
No,
Fawaz, come up here and say something.
Yeah. I have a phone too. Maybe I give you my own phone. You say it too. ọmọ tó yá yìí ni ṣé Abdul Qadir wa innahu ala kulli shay'in qadir.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wọ́n ní bàbá.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't have anything to say today. I'm not gonna lie. Oh, you want to go hoop? But you guys will be sweating, bro. Like, just the AC is not working in here. I'm sorry, but today I don't know. I don't have anything to say. My mouth is not working like usual.
Wọ́n ní kó tara kọ́ dìrò agbára Ọlọ́run bá pé Ọlọ́run ọba alágbára ń ta wá ń fẹ́ wá jáde.
What do you want me to say? I don't have anything to talk about. The chicken? Thank you. You gave me something. That food that we ate, I'm not gonna lie. You know me, I'm black. I like chicken. But that chicken today, that chicken was meat. I'm not even gonna lie. It's not even salty. It was seasoned properly. And the fries, don't even get me started on the fries. It's like I'm chewing cardboard. Nah, I just wasn't feeling it. I don't know. Started They just told me to tell you guys to sit up, clean up, face the front. We're about to get started with our next event. Our lecture is here. But I'll be back, maybe. We'll see.
Bọ́lọ́run bá bàbá tó bá mú wá lódì nǹkan tó bá ní ọmọ la rí ń bì tá a rí yá kí la fẹ́ ṣe tó bá dẹ̀ ní bàbá la rí tá a rí ọmọ kí la fẹ́ ṣe ṣùgbọ́n Ọlọ́run bá ní kí ojú pé kára pé Ọlọ́run bò ní kí wọ́n fẹ́ lómi ṣe àmúrin ni máa kọ́ fún ẹ pé ẹ bá mi dúpẹ́ f'Olúwa ẹ má bá mi dúpẹ́ f'Olúwa ọba tí ó dojú àdúrà tì mí.
Assalamu alaikum youth convention.
Ṣé tí o fọ̀rọ̀ mi o.
It was a bit better from yesterday, but I think we could do better. Assalamu alaikum youth convention. One more time? One more time, y'all want it one more time? Oh, one more time? Okay. Assalamu alaikum youth convention. How are you feeling today? How are you feeling right now? Better? Good? Good? You made it? Made through the day? Just like a couple more hours left, right? All right. Inshallah, so we're very proud to announce that we're moving on to our Palestine next segment. I think this is probably the core of the whole youth convention and why we're the whole theme, with supporting the people in Palestine and the youth there. So I want to quickly start off, in a world where countless innocent children are being killed, genocides are being broadcast on live television, and minorities being murdered in their own homes, kitchens, and backyards. We face a pressing question. How do we find peace and navigate through this turmoil? Right? Who can provide these credible guidance on this matters? And based on that, I would like our next committee here, who we have here, mashallah, to go ahead and explain to us how we can navigate through this. How can we give back? What does our Quran and the Sunnah say about this? So, inshallah, I would like to present to us the next segment.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah wa salatu wa salam وعلى رسول الله اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد كما صليت على ابراهيم وعلى ابراهيم انك حميد مجيد رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي امري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. MashaAllah, may Allah reward you all for putting on this amazing convention. My name is Muhammad Fatouh. I'm coming from not too far away, near like the Masjid Hamza area. It's my first time here, MashaAllah, beautiful masjid. And today I'm with some members of the Palestinian youth movement. Inshallah, the goal of today is to give you guys a little bit of a background on what we're battling exactly with the Palestinian struggle. Talk about what the Quran and Sunnah tell us to do to support the Palestinian struggle. And then inshallah, we'll talk about some history of resistance and some symbols as well. Inshallah, we want it to be interactive. We want it to be a discussion with you guys, so be ready for some questions. And yes, that does mean there will be some prizes too. So just be ready, inshallah. Jazakallah khairan. Great to meet you all. Assalamu alaikum, and pass it on to Sister Shada.
Salam. My name is Shada. I'm with the Palestinian Youth Movement. And I'm excited to be talking with you guys a little bit about the Palestinian struggle today. So we're going to start off by kind of understanding what is the Palestinian struggle and how did it come to be, so we know how we can fit in and fight these oppressive powers, and also your role as students, as youth in the US, and what that looks like in combating this. And we're going to get started in just a little bit.
Ọlọ́run má bà wá nínú jẹ́ ọláyà nàbà Muhammad Ọlọ́run èyí tí wọ́n ṣe lénìí Ọlọ́run má ṣe jẹ́ kí irú ẹbí mi náà láyé o lọ́kùnrin Ọlọ́run jẹ́ gbogbo pa mi láyé lóbìnrin Ọlọ́run má ṣe jó bá wa láyé Ọlọ́run Rabbana hab lana min azwajina wa zurriyatina qurrata a'yunin waj'alna lil muttaqina imama Rabbana atina min ladunka rahmatan وهيئ لنا من أمرنا رشدا ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار.
All right, let's get started, inshallah. So first we want to understand who it is we're fighting, who our enemy is when it comes to the Palestinian struggle. And so if you can move into the next slide. I'm going to start with a question for you guys. Do you think the Palestinian struggle for liberation is a humanitarian issue or is it a political issue? Okay. So I want to define these a little bit. A lot of the times we hear it's a humanitarian issue. And what people mean by that most of the time is the issue is just isolated. It doesn't really have a lot of political ties, and it just is something that somewhat happened. And so you start to hear a lot of people preaching like, oh, we just need to send aid or we just need to donate. And while all that is true, it's not actually going to lead to any long-term solutions and lead to the liberation of the Palestinian people. As to where a political issue means that there are structures that have been put in place and projects that have been put in place to oppress a certain people. And so to combat them, it's going to look a little different beyond simply the aid, but some form of fight or some form of struggle needs to be waged in order to fight those oppressive powers. And I'm going to go into define a little bit in regards to the Palestinian struggle. Okay, how many people, show of hands, are familiar with the term Zionism? Okay, that's a good number of hands. Okay, so Zionism by definition, as we have on the PowerPoint, is a settler colonial political movement whose goal is to establish a Jewish state in place of the Palestinian people. And I know that might be a mouthful to understand, but I'm actually going to take us back into a little bit of the history. So we come to think of the Palestinian struggle kind of starting in 1948. Has anyone heard of the Nakba? Okay, so the Nakba is a catastrophe, and a lot of people have this false idea or notion that it all started in 1948, but in reality, it actually started all the way back from the late 1800s. So essentially what happened is there was a project that sought to establish a Jewish homeland in the region of Greater Syria, specifically in Palestine. And in fact, when it came to this, Palestine was not the only country that was kind of on the table. Other countries that were being discussed were Argentina and Uganda. So again, it was never really specifically about Palestine, but rather this project to establish a Jewish homeland. And so here we have early Zionists considered Argentina and Uganda, but decided on Palestine. And the reason they did that is because, one, they could employ a religious argument to justify the colonization of that region. And also, really important to understand is there exists the Suez Canal, which is really important for trade at the time. So a lot of countries like Britain and even France were actually fighting to gain control of that. And so they decided to back this Jewish homeland project because it served their own interests in regards to trade and resources. And so that led to what we know as the Balfour Declaration, which is basically Britain coming and saying like, okay, yes, we're actually going to give you Palestine, without even discussing it with the Palestinians or acknowledging Palestinian liberation or sovereignty.
Don't go.
Let's see.
Put of tank, and I believe.
Okay, next slide. So we said that Zionism is a settler colonial project. So what does that mean, right? How many of you here, kind of when you talk to Palestine, about Palestine to your friends or people that may not know a lot about the issue, you'll frame it as like, oh, imagine someone, comes into your home and takes it and kicks you out. How many people have like tried to use that framework? Okay. So you're actually explaining settler colonialism, and that is the displacement of an indigenous group So in this case, the Palestinians, displacing them and instead bringing over European Jews. So for this project to work in settler colonialism, the focus is on eliminating rather than exploiting the original inhabitants of a territory. Okay. And on this PowerPoint, you can actually see that looking at the map of Palestine over the years, you can see slowly the indigenous Palestinian population being moved and replaced into smaller and smaller spaces, as to where what we now know to be Israel is expanding throughout those years. And another settler colonial project actually that functions in the same way is this very country, the US. As you can see, there's another map here of the indigenous population of this country being displaced and over time replaced with what was European settlers. Okay, and now I have some quotes from some of the Zionists themselves. So Zionism in relation to Palestinians. This is a quote by the primary founder and first prime minister of Israel, who says, "We must expel the Arabs and take their places, and if we have to use force to guarantee our own right to settle in those places, then we have force at our disposal." So these are people who have no intention of living side by side with Palestinians or anything like that. They generally want them off the land and to no longer exist. And if that means using any force necessary, they're willing to do that. And here we have another quote by Israeli military leader saying, "Jewish villages were built in the place of Arab villages. There is not a single place built in this country that did not have a former Arab population." Again, we're seeing them themselves explaining that this is about the displacement and the ethnic cleansing of the Palestinian people. So where does that leave us today? As you guys know, the situation in Gaza is literally an ongoing genocide. And here we actually have a quote by Israeli Defense Minister. "I have ordered a complete siege on the Gaza Strip. There will be no electricity, no food, no fuel. Everything is closed. We are fighting human animals and we act accordingly." So the goal here is to ethnically cleanse Palestinians. And you may hear certain things on media saying like, oh, they're defending themselves or they're trying to fight or negotiate peace, but really their main goal is to ethnically cleanse. And that's why they are targeting places like hospitals, like schools, places where refugees are coming together. They're going and bombing those places because their goal is to get rid of the population. And before we continue, basically, I wanted to give you guys that framework so you understand that the Palestinian struggle for liberation is a political one, as in there are structures that have been put into place where you have an oppressive force and then you have those that are being oppressed. So when you think of things like donating money or sending aid, etc., that may put a band-aid on the issue here, but in order to fight a political struggle, we must think politically and act politically when it comes to fighting oppression. And I'm going to pass it on to Fatouh to explain about what that means as Muslims and provide some examples.
Jazakallah khairan, Sister Shada. Would someone be able to tell me what Zionism means as a quick recap? If your friend were to ask you what's a Zionist, how would you answer? You could just raise your hand. Okay, sister, go ahead. You can go ahead, just, yeah.
Someone who's trying to make a Jewish state in place of the Palestinian people.
Okay, that's a great way to put it, mashallah. Brother Nawaf got you with the gift. So that's the main idea here. It's someone trying to create a state. Again, like Sister Shada pointed out, people from Europe coming over and saying, all right, we want to build our own state for ourselves in place of these people. And as Sister Shada said, there were Jewish people already living in Palestine. That's not the issue. The issue is people coming from Europe who said we want to build a Jewish state only for ourselves and not for the Palestinians who are already living here. And so that's kind of the problem that's at play here. And now when we dig into our duty as Muslims, can someone tell me why Palestine is even important to Muslims in the first place? Because otherwise, we could just leave right now. I mean, we got to have something important. We'll start here, but talk really loud though. Okay, it's a holy land. Yeah, Jazakallah khairan. We have a lot of history there. Masjid-ul Aqsa is the third holiest site in Islam. Okay, I'll take a sister now. Go ahead, sister. Say it one more time. It's a Muslim country. Okay, great answer as well. Anytime the ummah is suffering, all of us are suffering. All right, another answer. Over there, brother. Masjid-ul Aqsa. We kind of already said that, but we'll still give you something. It's all good. Okay, I'll go to a sister now. Go ahead, sister. Okay, Prophet Isa alayhi salam was born in the land. Okay, some more ties to the land. I'll do one last one here. Go ahead, brother, here. Okay, it was the first Qibla. Yeah, Masjid al-Aqsa. Okay, that's correct. MashaAllah, everybody here answered about the history in Islam. None of that is incorrect, right? But I want to take it a step further. I'm going to ask you a question. If Palestine had no Islamic history, let's say Muslims didn't live there. Let's say there was no history at all with the prophets or anything like that. But people there are being killed and oppressed. Would we still have a duty to speak out for them? So then what is that getting at? Why? Why is that the case? Thank you. Sister said, any wrongdoing that's there, any injustice, there is an onus on us. Thank you. Now we're going to talk about a little bit about some from the Quran and from Sirah, that we can talk more about that. From Surah An-Nisa, we have a command here. Oh, you who have believed, be persistently standing firm in justice, witnesses for Allah, even if it be against yourselves or parents and relatives. Whether one is rich or poor, Allah is more worthy of both. SubhanAllah, here, the command for justice goes beyond even our own parents, who have such a high pedestal in Islam for us. Even ourselves as well, we can oppress ourselves. And so, on a general level, even taking ourselves away from oppression in a different land, justice comes down to our own families, our own communities, and ourselves as well. And that's a battle that we're fighting every single day. And so justice is one of the core principles that we see in Islam across different examples. And now when it comes to specifically the situation of Palestine, then the question becomes, okay, how do we take that general idea of justice and apply it to the Palestinians? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Hajj says, permission to fight has been given to those who are being fought because they were wronged. And indeed, Allah has power to give them victory. And there are examples here about demolished, not just masajid, but churches and synagogues as well. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is placing a command and a value on all places of worship being destroyed, subhanAllah. And this is in a time where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where many of his followers were being kicked out of their homes and persecuted and had to flee for their safety. And so we know that the idea of people being removed from their homes, there is Islamic history to that, and we have a command to stand for justice for those people. And now Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says in a hadith that there will always remain a group in my ummah, always upon the truth, always a thorn in their enemies despite what is done to them. They are not harmed by those who betray them. And he's talking about the people in and around the Holy Land. So again, we know there's a high value to the people of that land. And then, who all has heard of this hadith? Raise your hand if you've heard of it before. Would someone mind volunteering to read it? You got to have a really loud voice though. Okay, go ahead, brother. A little bit louder if you can. Jazakallah khairan. Jazakallah khairan. Jazakallah khairan. And so the idea here is, again, an evil happens in front of us, something we can tangibly change. We do it with our hand. If not, we speak out against it. And if not that, we at least hate it in our heart. And that's the weakest of Iman. So we have a very, very core principle and demand there. And in terms of putting this into action, we have to understand that the history of standing against oppression, or even just having duties in an Islamic environment, are not just for the adults and not just for the old, but the youth have a very historical power and significance in Islam. We'll talk more about that in terms of movements. But for now, I'll give you an example. Asma bint Abu Bakr, radiallahu anha, she was one of the first people to embrace Islam, and that was just as a teenager, subhanAllah. And she was someone who Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam trusted so much that when he was being persecuted, she was the one in the night who would provide food and water as they were on the run. And even at one point, Abu Jahl himself came to her home asking where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is and where he went to. She refused to say anything, and alhamdulillah, he was able to go off safely. But the idea that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would give a responsibility to someone who was just in their teenage years, that's something we can all take to heart and think about as we recognize our own power and our own role in justice movements and things as youth in the future, inshallah. And from there, now we have the Islamic framework. We have some historical framework about Palestine. Now we'll talk about what it looks like to build power as youth. So first of all, some examples of resistance that happened in Palestinian history. So early on, we're talking before 1948, Sheikh Izzuddin al-Qassam was an early figure. He was actually born in Syria, and he was kicked out of there for his revolutionary work, came to Palestine, got involved there, and mashallah, Allah yarhamu, he participated in an operation, and he was martyred, but his martyrdom sparked a lot of momentum with Palestinians to where they would start a revolt. In the second picture, you see a woman's only revolt, a woman's only protest, and this is in around the 1930s or so. And they're holding a sign that tells the Palestinians we do not want to negotiate with the British because we know they are simply trying to help the Zionists steal our land. We want our land back and we want justice. We're not going to let these Zionists take our land. So you saw resistance from very, very early on. And on the right-hand side, you see a picture, subhanAllah, again from the 1930s, of a man, a Palestinian man, being patted down by British troops. This is as if it could have been today in Israel with the Palestinian, a man being patted down. And so resistance has been there since the very beginning. And other ways of resistance you see, like the international boycott movement. Who's heard of boycotting Israel, for example? Nice, alhamdulillah. That was a big call, started in 2005 for Palestinians, inspired by how South Africans achieved their freedom. And then we have creative resistance, like in Gaza, the Great March of Return. Thousands of Palestinians would march to the border every Friday, demanding return to their homeland. And then, of course, other ways and avenues, like that picture in the right corner is from Gaza, actually, when I was there last year, alhamdulillah, when Palestinians captured a tank, held it as a souvenir, and put a sign for themselves for their empowerment.
All right, thank you for explaining that. So I want to go back into history as well, and I actually want to show you guys a case study, which is the first Intifada. So Intifada actually, does anyone know what that translates to in English? That's a hard one. Do you know what Intifada translates to in English? All right. It actually translates to an uprising. So Intifada means uprising. And so when we say the first Intifada, we're talking about the first Palestinian uprising. And why was this significant? Because for the first time, Palestinians participated in a full-scale protest and demonstrations that extended to all sectors. So all the farmers, all the factory workers, all the mothers, all the teenagers, all the kids were all partaking in these demonstrations. And so with that, they actually came and united and were able to successfully build power by moving as one. And so what this ended up doing was it demonstrated an opposition to the Israeli occupation, And it also empowered Palestinians to build their own economic infrastructure separate from their oppressors. And under this as well, Palestinians were kind of uniting under a singular command.
As Sister Shada said, you have a layer of different movements in terms of people supporting a big uprising from whatever role they have. And then you look at students as well. Even during the Intifada as well, there were students who were fighting against Israeli troops to the points where troops were raiding their classes, stopping their classes, raiding their schools, but they stayed strong. And even here in the U.S., we have instances and a rich history of students leading the front and the fight for justice. In Houston, for example, students were so powerful during a lot of the civil rights protests that it got to the point where police and the media were coming to deals with the students saying, we don't want the media covering the protests. We don't want that news to get out. What we'll do is, fine, we'll desegregate this one restaurant, or we'll do this, or we'll do that, but we want the media to cover it because they knew the power behind the students' protests getting out and people finding out about it, and it leading to other protests in other cities. And so, subhanAllah, Houston, and there's a very interesting documentary on that. I think it's called Silencing Jim Crow, if you want to look it up sometime. But again, a lot of rich history with student movements, and it's something we can be inspired from, just like the encampments that we saw happen over the last few weeks for Gaza. That got so powerful to the point where Benjamin Netanyahu himself, the Prime Minister of Israel, came out with a statement talking down on the students, talking down about the protests. And so just know that there's a big power for us as youth, especially on campuses.
All right, we have a quick video for you guys.
Maybe just put it on the mic, yeah.
أي طفل بيسأله بموضوع مش ليش تيح كلياته بيجاوب بكل ثقة بدون خوف.
بخافش من ناس زيهم هذول الجبنة، بخافش منهم زي الفيران. يعني معاهم سلاح ومعاهم دبابات يبقوا يتزروكوا بين الدبابات، خايفين منا إحنا يعني مدنيين، بس هم إرادتهم ضعيفة، خوفهم لدرجة الجنون، يعني مش طبيعي عندهم الخوف. إحنا ما بنخاف منهم، شو ما عملوا فينا ما بنخاف منهم. أسلحتهم نزلت علينا زي المي، لأنها نزلت من إيدين فاشلة، نزلت من إيدين خايفة، من إيدين مرخية.
All right, those are the words of a very strong little girl. So imagine what at your age you're able to do. So essentially what I want you guys to take away here is when we are fighting oppression, we have to do it together. We have to come together and execute. And that's what we call organizing. Organizing is to come, develop a plan, all come and do it together because, again, we are stronger together. So a lot of times in movements, I don't know if you guys noticed this, there are moments in time where everyone is talking about a certain issue or struggle. In this case with Palestine, it has existed since the late 1800s. And from then till now, there are these currents where there's high tension. Israel is constantly bombing Gaza. They do it every year. And now it's at an all-time high. So if you guys want to look at it kind of linear, we have moments of high energy where everyone wants to talk about it. Everyone wants to go to a protest. Everyone's angry. And then it kind of starts to die down, right? So those high moments, that's what we call mobilizing. People are coming and mobilizing and doing something to help and to wage a fight against an oppressive force. But in those moments where kind of nothing's really happening, that's what we call organizing. That's where people come together, they work and strengthen their communities, they educate politically, and they build skill sets within so that when those high moments come, we are able to accomplish more together. And that low is what we call organizing. So what I want you guys to think of isn't just what you can do at those high moments of attending a protest or resharing a post, but we as Muslims have to think about what we do in the organizing part. How do we start to build together, especially as Muslims, since it is our duty to fight for oppression, to speak up about oppression as long as it exists. So from this, key takeaways is get organized, join your MSA. If you don't have an MSA, get your friends together and start one in your schools. For those in college, join an SJP, Students for Justice in Palestine. Those about to enter college or university, I guarantee you there's a chapter there. If there isn't one, again, start one. It always has to start from somewhere. And educate yourself and those around you. Take from the history today, take from the case studies today, and start talking about it. Keep talking about it and keep talking about it. And especially now with the age of social media, it's very easy to get a message spread very far to people you may not think can hear your message. And it's important to continue to talk. And it's those messaging and the constant reposting and the constant resharing is why, you know, those in power are now scared. They want to shut down TikTok. They want to censor. And that tells us that this stuff is working and that's something we can do. And third, we're stronger together. So keep expanding on your people that you're organizing with. You know, like I said, start a chapter, join a chapter. When you're going to an event, when you're going to a teach-in, or even when you're going to a protest, go to your family members, go to your friends and say, hey, come with me. Because we are more powerful in the numbers we bring out. All right, so now, what are some concrete things we can do? Like I said, talk about Palestine. Plug in for Palestine. So see what's going on around you here in Houston regarding Palestine and come and join that. Come be present in those spaces and educate yourself so you can educate those around you. Challenge existing institutions. So we talked about how Palestine is a political struggle. That means there are certain institutions in place to keep us from wanting to fight those powers, right? And so we need to start looking at things politically and seeing how certain factors actually affect that and how we can combat it. Other things you can do, something very simple, wear your kufiya. I see so many of you wearing your kufiyas and you should be proud of yourself and I'm proud of you for that. Because by wearing your kufiya, you are saying, hey, I support Palestine, I stand for Palestine, and it has become a recognizable symbol because of how many people are wearing it. And in fact, this used to be a cultural piece that now turned into something political. And so by you wearing it, you are actively partaking in this wage against in the fight for Palestinian struggle for liberation. And like I said, join an organization. If one does not exist on your campus or schools, I highly encourage you to start one. And again, protest, boycott, see what companies are supporting Israel, which ones profit from the ongoing genocide and the occupation. We no longer need to give them our money. We can shop elsewhere, we can shop locally. Disrupt. Don't normalize what's going on in Gaza and Palestine as a whole. We want to keep showing people that this is not normal, and we're going to continue to fight this oppression. And also to demand. Understand what the demands are that you want to put forward. So for example, a demand is to end the genocide in Gaza. A demand is to end the occupation in Palestine. And because many Palestinians were displaced, another demand is the return of all Palestinian refugees that have been displaced back into Palestine. And of course, connecting it back to what it means as Muslims, these are all ways you are fighting oppression in your daily lives. Therefore, you are fulfilling your Muslim or Islamic duty and obligation by doing so. Because again, we need to stand up and speak up when we see oppression. All right, and now we have a little activity for you guys.
Okay, Jazakallah khairan. Okay, now we're going to pivot into symbols of resistance. So we're going to do a quick quick discussions. We're going to put a symbol on the slide and then talk with those around you about what you think that symbol means. We'll have a question up there to guide you, inshallah. Okay, raise your hand if you've heard about the watermelon being a symbol of resistance. Okay, talk with those around you about why that's a symbol and maybe give some ideas as to what made it become a symbol. We'll do that for like a minute or two. Yeah, just where they are. Yeah, no problem. So the Q&A, we asked them like what questions y'all have. Yeah, who wants to answer it? And then can I see the rest of the slides? Yeah. Bring it back out. All right, everyone, we'll break out now. Bismillah. Can someone raise their hands and tell me what your group thinks about what the symbol might mean? But if you've already answered questions, put your hand down. We'll do some new faces. Okay, we'll do this brother first. The same color as the flag of Palestine, mashallah. That's right, that's right. Now for the sisters, if you already knew that, I'm gonna ask you then what made them start using it? Why couldn't they just use the flag anymore? What's your guess as to what happened? Only raise your hand if you haven't answered yet. Or if you in the back, sister. Mashallah. Okay, the sister said that during the last few months, with the Palestine flag becoming more and more popular, people were putting it in comments on social media, for example, and all the different Facebook, TikTok, all of them would remove those comments. Mashallah. We're going to dig a little bit deeper on that now. I'm going to tell you all some history. So this actually started way back around the 1960s or 70s. Because back then, there's like a funny story actually for one of the explanations. A group of Palestinian artists, they got together. They wanted to make a union. Y'all know what a union is? Where like workers come together to have, okay. Yes, sir, unity. So a lot of Palestinian artists got together to form a union. And the Israeli officers had to meet with them because Israel controlled the union laws and everything. And they asked and the officer told them, you guys are not allowed to use the Palestine flag in your artwork. So one of the Palestinian artists asked the officer, he was like, all right, what about a rose that has the flowers? Can I use a flower? And it has the colors. Can I use a flower? The officer's like, no, you couldn't even use a watermelon if you wanted to use a watermelon. And they were like, oh, good idea. And so from there, the Palestinian artists started using a watermelon in a lot of their different artwork. Another explanation is, after the 1967 war, Israeli soldiers passed laws to take away Palestinians from using their flags. And from there, they started using it as well in that context too. Now, this one we're going to do shorter, maybe just discuss for 30 seconds. But this is called the Handala, up in the upper right corner. It's a child. So talk about any ideas you have about what the child represents. Like, why is he barefoot, for example, if you can tell? Why are his hairs like that? talk about kind of what you see there and give some ideas. All right, Bismillah. Let's see if we have any thoughts on this front. Does anyone have any ideas about the handla? We'll do a sister first for this one. In the back. MashaAllah. Okay, a sister said it's an idea from Palestinian artists where the idea is that this child will remain a child until Palestine is free, and then he'll finally start to grow up again. That's right, mashallah. That's one of the reasons. So there's still more if y'all want to talk about it. Okay. Okay, mashallah. Also, nice. Okay, like a famous artistic figure. Another one, please. Yeah. Mashallah, that's a great one. He said it represents the hardships that Palestinians face and that Palestinian children face, and that's why he's barefoot. That's why his hairs are, burned off. So this came up. Oh, we'll do. Okay, one more, inshallah. Say it again. To free Palestinian children, mashallah. That's right. It's one of the strong symbols. That's right, for the freedom of all children in Palestine. And so Handala, according to the artist, is 10 years old. Where does that come from? Because the artist himself, Najil Ali, he was 10 years old when he was kicked out of his home in 1948 and forced to be in a refugee camp in Lebanon. And so when Najil Ali described the symbol, again, like you all said, he will not grow up until Palestine is free and he returns to his land. He is barefoot to show his rough condition and the hardships, like you mentioned. And his back is turned and it's not looking at us because he is busy looking at all the Israeli killings one after another. And so it's a very powerful symbol, and you're going to see it in a lot of different artwork. And some of you all who received keychains earlier, some of them actually have a handala on there as well. And now Sister Shada is going to talk about this last symbol, the kufiya, that a lot of you are wearing already. And then we'll go into questions from you all, inshallah.
All right, so for the kufiya, I kind of mentioned this a little earlier, but it was actually a cultural clothing. So back in the day, actually a bunch of countries in the region like Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, they all wore it. But why it became a political symbol in Palestine is because a lot of the peasants and those in the cities that would wear it to kind of cover their face from the sun or to protect themselves on a hot day, as they started uprising and fighting and revolting, they needed some form of protection, like from tear gas or from gunpowder, whatever it may be. So they started covering their face. So a lot of the fighters you see are wearing it as a form of protection. And from there, it turned into a political symbol. And now whenever you see it, it's tied to Palestine and Palestine's fight for liberation.
All right, now we're just gonna move into Q&A. So if you guys have any questions, any concerns, anything at all, anything from what you learned today or what you want to learn more about. Anybody with questions? Yes. So if you guys couldn't hear her, she was talking about the upcoming election. If we have any recommendations or what are our thoughts about voting, not voting, and who to vote for. So both, I can't really tell you who to vote for, but both sides, just you have to understand, Republicans and Democrats both are the same side of the same coin, or one side of the same coin, if that makes sense. Both of them are evil, is what I'm trying to say. Both of them support the genocide in Gaza. Both of them are fighting to keep the genocide going, keep the occupation going. So both of them are trying to lean to your vote by saying the other side is evil, and both of them are right. Both sides are evil, and I don't want to like. Do you want to recommend?
Sure, no problem. Yeah, Brother Matt brings up great points, and be aware of the different campaigns going on. There's a campaign, for example, to not vote at all for the president and to just focus on your efforts organizing in your local community, right? There are others who say vote for a third party just so that the Democrats and Republicans can be like, oh, wow, we lost this many people to a third party, right? There are different ways you can show your power. But I think all of us in this room agree that the real power for us does not come from voting for one of these parties or voting for a presidential candidate. Real power comes from when we're able to rely on ourselves and not have to rely on the government and the systems around us. When we can build our own power, educate ourselves, our own economic power, building our own businesses, and different things like that. That way we're not so reliant on the government. And so kind of take that in. And the presidential election is not that big of a deal in terms of any circumstance for Palestine. So use it as a moment to show your own power. Don't be pressured to vote for one party or the other. Yes, sister? Oh, this shirt, my sister got it for me from Jordan. And that's a little bit too far. But next time, inshallah, I got you. You know what? There might be some websites that sell this. Y'all need to get sites off the top of your head.
Yeah, there's a website called Watan, but I also want to mention the Palestinian Youth Movement here in Houston. Anytime we have an event or a teach-in, we have a table and we actually get the t-shirts for you guys and sell them. So if you're interested, follow PYM Houston on Instagram so you can see when our next events are, and we have a stock of t-shirts to sell so you can wear and represent. Any other questions? Writers Against the War on Gaza per Nawaf. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
Story highlight, right? Yeah, you can talk about it. So she asked about credible places to donate, since there's a lot of people trying to scam you out of your money, using a terrible tragedy like this to get your money. So we have a local org here in Houston called Bridge to Beledi. The org sends food into Gaza, and like you can see through the videos that our money is actually going to that place. It's a 301c 301A, 501c, sorry, nonprofit organization. There's also Fajr Scientific. Bridge to Beledi. Is it on the BRIDGE and then TO? Beledi is BALADI. Bridge to Beledi. They're also on Instagram. There's also Fajr Scientific. They also have a warehouse here in Houston. I visited the warehouse. They have a lot of medical supplies. So all the money that we donate to them, they buy medical supplies and send it to Gaza. They just came back from a mission doing surgeries in Gaza, and they're also going at the end of this month, at the end of August. Actually, the founder, Sheikh Mus'ab, he's a local in Houston. He goes to a lot of massages, speaks about this, and currently he's in Amman preparing for the next round of surgeries that they're going to do in Gaza and in the West Bank. And it's called Fajr Scientific, like Fajr Scientific on Instagram. There's also, if you go to PYM Houston, our Instagram page, we have a story highlight of GoFundMe's that are credible and like that we've actually verified that they're real GoFundMe's. But just be very careful of who you donate to and make sure your money is going to the right places.
So we really emphasized organizing. Organizing actually is a political action, right? Like going to a protest, you go, you show up, you show your support, but then you go home after, right? Like you're not really challenging power, or you're not really causing a disruption to like the oppressive systems around you. What does is organizing. Like those in power are scared when they see us united and they see us all coming together for one common goal or common demands, which is why like true power lies in our communities. Hamad mentioned, for example, like when you're no longer relying on the government and you can fulfill your own needs as a community, they know that you no longer need them, but they will still need you, right? And so by organizing, you are building that power.
And so some examples, like when you think of political action, think of it in terms of like two ways. One way is when you're reacting to something. So let's say a Zionist speaker is coming to your school to speak about something. You're going to get together with your friends or organizations that you have. That's organizing. You bring your Muslim Student Association together, your masjid together, and say, hey, there's this speaker coming. We want to make sure, A, we cancel the event, or B, we coordinate a proper protest against it. Maybe we come out and write a statement and put it out in the public, give it to the media, and say we condemn, like we call out this place that is bringing the Zionist speaker. That should not be acceptable, right? You're reacting to something. Does that make sense? Or a big politician's coming, you coordinate a protest, you're reacting. That's one level. Then there's the more powerful level, which is when you are proactive. You're building something yourself. You're not waiting for a Zionist to come here to then take action. You're building on your own. So you're hosting educational events. Like this conference right here, having a talk about Palestine, that's proactive because you're trying to educate people to then be ready for when the next moment comes, you're ready to launch forward. Education, again, building yourself, even with little things like security. We know that police and cops go and train in Israel, and they have a lot of they're not or to be trusted. There are masajid that have started their own security systems for themselves, that the men there are trained and they're able to defend themselves in their own community, and they don't have to rely on the police, for example. These are things that build power and make us independent, to where we're not relying on the government or anything like that. We're relying on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we can move forward with power on that front. Any other questions as we wrap up here, inshallah? Any other? Okay, yes, brother. Okay. Okay. Right. Do you want me to? Okay. So when your MSA is being targeted as an organization, you have to show your power to the school district, right? When they're taking an action, like let's say they tell you, hey, we're not going to let you have this event on Palestine. You need to leverage the community behind you. There's a big organization. It's up on the board. It's called CARE, Council of American Islamic Relations. So CARE Houston. They have Muslim lawyers, for example, who are trained for this exact thing. That when an MSA feels pressure from a school district, they have support that lawyers can go and tell them, hey, we know what you're doing is not allowed. We're going to give you a chance to change your mind and give this MSA the proper treatment. Otherwise, we're going to take action. That's one level. And then there are other levels where big community organizations like Mass Houston, the PYM itself, others, you can then say, we have the support of all these organizations. we're going to spam email the school district. Everybody at once, organize together, send them 1,000 emails in one day so that they get, oh, wait a minute, these guys are not going to be quiet about us trying to shut them down. Because these school districts, they don't respond to morals, they respond to pressure. And therefore, you have to pressure them to give into your demand. So thank you, sister. It's a great question. The brother here said, what should the average person's stance be on the political party in Gaza? That sounds like hummus. Everybody in here knows. There's really no need to talk about, I think in general, when you talk about Palestine, you think about it as you're supporting those who are on the ground resisting for their homes and for their struggle. So when the average person tries to ask you about it, tell them like, hey, like the support of Palestine and the idea is when someone comes and take your home, there will be people who fight back 100%, and that's a right everybody has, and that's what you should be focusing on. So you focus on the oppression that the Zionists are putting, and that Palestinians have the right to resist. Any last questions? Alhamdulillah, these are all great questions, mashallah. And then any concerns or thoughts that you have that worry you about getting involved, or issues that have come to mind when trying to be a Muslim in a Palestine space, if sometimes like there are a lot of non-Muslims there. Any issues that come up with that for you guys? Okay, alhamdulillah. All right, jazakallahu khairan. May Allah accept and reward you all. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Takbir! Takbir! One more round of applause for the Houston chapter of the Palestinian Youth Movement. Okay. So on behalf of Movement Youth, we are proud to have you all in our presence. Alhamdulillah, thank you all for your time. Thank you so much for your invaluable presentation. As a token of appreciation, we would like to present you with these gifts. Yes. So again, guys, clap it up, clap it up, clap it up, clap it up, clap it up. Oh, yeah. Yes, inshallah. Inshallah, we will be seeing you all next year as well. Inshallah. Picture, please. Picture. Pictures.
ما which one is Sister Hikmat so I can see. Sister Hikmat. Salam.
What's the next segment?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We have a brother that lost a bunch of keys, so if anybody seen keys, please report it to any key you see, shall bring it. His name is Uncle Shehu, so if you know he lost his keys, so please keep our eye out for the keys. Thank you.
That's cake, right?
Assalamu alaikum.
Hi.
Wait, let's wait for him. Ustad Hamza Gia is a university. Okay.
Stay here and back the ladies. So that you are not putting your back to.
Okay, well, this is really short. Okay. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Assalamu alaikum. Can everybody please put their phones away? Put your trash or your food, whatever. When you're done with it, can you put it in the trash? Make sure you're quiet and put your phones away. And give respect to our speaker here because we're about to start the program. Assalamu alaikum. Can everyone put their phone away? Put their trash in the trash cans. Make sure you're quiet and give respect to our speaker because we're about to start the program.
I see a lot of people still talking. We're about to start.
You want to introduce him? No, you got it. I can do it, man. You want to introduce me? I can do it. What? Oh.
He's from Katy.
Why don't you?
I don't care. I can do it.
You want to again? Shut the fuck up. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Can you make sure you put your trash in the trash can? Put your phones away. Keep quiet and let's listen to our speaker because we're about to start the program. Can you open the phone? How do you open it? Oh, the phone's in the phone. Oh, Sister Fatima. The phone turned off. Well, actually, he said he's gonna do it.
Yeah.
He's gonna respond.
Katy.
Oh, okay. Do you have anything?
Hey, I have it. All right, we're starting. Assalamu alaikum. Yo, is everyone inside? Can y'all please call all the people playing basketball outside to come in? They're all inside? All right. It is my... Yo, can y'all please quiet down, all of y'all? And please sit down. Be respectful. All right. It is with, my utmost pleasure that I introduce Ustad Hamza here. Y'all don't know, but he teaches me Quran in Katy in Bear Creek Masjid. He has a master's in accounting from University of Houston. I don't really know what importance that holds here, but he's here to really tell us about embracing the Quran, right? I mean, that's really all. He doesn't need too much of an introduction. His lecture will do the talking for him.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء المرسلين نبينا وسيدنا وحبيبنا ومولانا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. I hope inshallah everyone's doing well. It's been a long time since I visited the community here. Those of you who don't know, I actually used to teach here as part of the Saturday school. I taught here for about 6 years, every Saturday. This was when I was in college, so I'm a little bit older, I guess, now. This week has been very interesting. I prayed a janazah for a young student. I prayed a janazah for a friend, a neighbor who was my age. She left behind a young child. And then yesterday, my uncle passed away in Pakistan. And my mom is currently in the hospital. And so this is why, my apologies, I was a little bit late because I left there a little bit late. But in thinking about all this, there is a poem that is written in the Arabic language that talks about, in summary, it basically mentions that if anyone had the ability to live forever, or if Allah granted anyone that permission to live forever, it would have been the Prophet ﷺ. And if anyone was ever needed more than anyone else, then it would have been the Prophet ﷺ. And so the Prophet ﷺ left this world, and that was indeed the most saddest day ever lived by anyone. That when they were there and the Prophet ﷺ left this world. It is narrated in different narrations, but one of the narrations it says that the day that the Prophet ﷺ passed away, it felt like the world has shattered and everything became dark. And so, yes, he left this world, but he did a really tremendous job, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, at what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded him to do. He was given a very, you could say, difficult goal. You know, when someone gives you a goal and they say you have to do this in one day, and you're like, well, I can't do that. It's impossible. It's too much. It's not realistic. And so the Prophet ﷺ was given the message of Islam, and then he was told that you have to go to the far east and to the far west of the world, and you have to deliver this message of La ilaha illallah. You have to deliver this message of La ilaha illallah. And just like you and I, he was like, how is this even going to be possible? Who's going to believe me? And at that time, they didn't have aircrafts, and they didn't have abilities just to travel all across. It wasn't as easy. Now you can get on a plane and you can go and get somewhere in a day. But now, back then, they didn't have that. So he was like, how am I going to do this? And slowly, we're sitting how many miles away, how many years later, and we're talking about Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the way that he did that is he did it with love, hikmah, mercy, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala throughout this time gave him two gifts. The first gift was a gift of salah. And that gift came in the middle of his prophethood, when times were really difficult, when times were hard, and the Prophet ﷺ was given a salah. And the second thing that Allah gave him was the Quran. And the Quran is 6,000 plus verses, where every single verse has given us an ability and the opportunity to learn something new. You know Surah Al-Asr? How many of you guys know Surah Al-Asr? Of course, you guys read it, for 17 times a day, right? Everyone knows, Surah Fatiha, Surah Al-Asr is like the go-to. So Surah Al-Asr is how many ayahs? 3. Mufassirin say if Allah only gave Surah Al-Asr in the Quran, it would have been sufficient enough for us. Surah Al-Asr is powerful enough that it could have been something that we could have used our entire life. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us 6,000 plus verses so that you and I could understand. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the Quran in 23-year span, teaching the Prophet ﷺ anytime a difficulty came, anytime a ruling came, he said, this is what you have to do. It was a book with guidance. It was a guide to the way of life. It was a way for the Prophet ﷺ to go through his times of hardship and difficulty and ease. And then the scholars, they say that if you ever want Allah to talk to you, you read the Quran. And the Prophet ﷺ said that in his final khutbah, where there was over 100,000 companions, 100,000 companions sitting there. And he said, I'm giving you a piece of advice that if you hold on to it, you won't ever be misguided. And he said, hold on to the Quran and Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Hold on to it. And so today, I was supposed to talk a little bit about the value of reading Quran or keeping the Quran in your daily life. And what we have to understand is that the Quran itself, just by reading it, has a lot of barakah in it. The great scholars like Imam Shafi'i, Imam Malik, they used to finish the reading of Quran 2 or 3 times a week. 2 or 3 times a. So, how much Quran is that every day? Who can tell me? About how many? About 10 juz a day. 10 to 12 juz every single day. Abdullah bin Amr radiallahu anh, he would recite the Quran once every single day. And he would pray the entire night. And some of the companions, when they saw him, they would ask, they would say, how do you have so much time? Because what are you and I going to say? We're going to say, well, we don't have enough time. It's very difficult to do. We're not going to have enough time. We have to do homework. Or we have to clean our room. We have to play basketball. We have to play games. But Abdullah bin Amr radiallahu anh, he says, the only reason I have time to do everything else is because I read this much Quran. It's the mindset saying that without me reading this much Quran, I won't have barakah in my life. How many of you guys think money is important? You guys don't think money is important? Yeah, a little bit? Come on. Nobody here. How many of you guys want to be rich? Why do you want to be rich? Satisfaction. Yeah? Anybody else? Why else do you want to be rich? So you can help what? You can help people who need it. So why can't other rich people help us if we need it? How come other rich people can't help us if we need it? So you're not going to be stingy? You guarantee it? There's no. All right, you guys make sure you guys take her name and number, all right? When she becomes rich, we don't have to work anymore. She's going to take care of us. Okay. So if you think, okay, so what is considered rich? I can't hear. You guys are too many side conversations. I'll give you guys a few seconds to pay attention here. Okay. Yes. Having a mansion is considered rich. Okay, what else? Someone else give me a definition. Yes. Once you have an excess amount of money that you make more than you can spend. But if I have a lot of money, I can spend a lot of money too. Having 1 million plus. But what if my expenses are 2 million? Am I still rich? Go ahead. Having enough money where you're satisfied with. So I could be satisfied with $100 too. Any sisters, what do you consider rich? I know you guys think about it. Well, you guys don't want to make money? Come on. Yes. Yeah. No? When you don't have to worry about the price of anything. Okay, one more. Guys, too much side conversation. Sisters. When you live a life with no worries. Okay,
Let me tell you guys the real answer. Okay, you guys ready? We're never going to be satisfied. When you become rich, you're going to want more. If you have 2 nice cars, you're going to say, why can't I have 4? If you have 1 nice house, you're going to say, why can't I have 1 more nice house? Why can't I have a bigger house? This house has an outdoor pool. Why can't I have a house that has an indoor pool? You know? And this is what humans have this mindset of always wanting more. But being rich is not about how much money you have. It's actually about how much barakah Allah puts in what you already have. I want you to understand this very clearly. That's about how much barakah Allah puts. The richest of the rich, there's people who have billions of dollars and they commit suicide. Why? They're not happy. There's no barakah in their life. They're going broke. They're making so much money, probably what all of us making combined in like 1 month, and they're still going broke because there's no satisfaction. So the companions, they would say that when you read the Quran every single day, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts so much barakah in what we have, we don't even know where it comes from. We don't know how it happens or what happens. Financially, it makes no sense. I did accounting, and I think he introduced me and said there's no relevance. I'll put some relevance in here. I studied for 5 years, and I have to put some relevance. I can't say I wasted my time in school. So I'll put some relevance in here. I met someone who's a teacher of Quran. He's been teaching for 20 years. How many years? 20 years. He says, I make X amount. Let's just put a number. I make 2,000. He said, but my expenses are 4,000. Financial wise, he says it makes no sense. But he says, Alhamdulillah, even now, I'm in no debt. There's no debt. Doesn't make any sense. But I'm in no debt. And he says, I firmly believe this is because I'm with the Quran all day. I'm with the Quran all day. And so, to all of you who are about to start school soon, inshallah, or you're about to start whatever you're about to start, college, school, work, you realize that the Quran is something that's not a want. The Quran is something that you need. I need. And how do I continue to fill the other void in my life? It's probably because I don't have enough Quran in it. You know when you feel lonely? You feel depressed. How many of you guys have social media? You know why social media is so quote unquote popping? Who can tell me why? It's not communication. People see what's close. It's basically fulfilling that void of, hey, I'm not lonely anymore. I got people giving me thousands of likes on my posts, and I just busy myself with that, and I feel fulfilled. But the reality is we don't feel fulfilled even with that, because the only way we can be filled, our hearts can be filled, is when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in it. And the best way is to have a conversation with Allah or to hear your best friend talk to you is by reading the Quran. When you read the Quran, it is as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking to you. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling you what to do and what not to do. And Allah is there for you. So if you say, well, you know what, I get bored. That's because you haven't made Allah your friend yet. You haven't made Allah your friend yet. You haven't made Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala someone that you want to talk to yet. Do you get bored on looking on social media and scrolling? No, you don't. You want a challenge? Okay, everyone take out their phones. Let's do it, baby. Let's do it. Come on. Take out your phones.
Quickly, quickly. Okay. Hear me out. Hear me out. You guys ready? Go to your settings. Settings. Come on, come on. Go to your settings. Okay. Go to your screen time. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Come on. Go to your screen time. All right. And then there's a button that says see all apps and website activity. Okay, first of all. Okay, hold on, guys. We can only do this if you guys pay attention. Okay? All right. How many people have screen time for under 3 hours a day? Raise your hand. One person? So you're still going to tell me that you guys aren't addicted to your social media? You're under 3 hours? You're under 3 hours? Yo, back there. You're under 3 hours? How many hours? Guys, hello. Listen. 1, 2, 3, eyes on me. I'm the teacher guy, elementary kids. Okay, I'll wait. How many people are under 3 hours? Raise your hand high. How long are you? No, for total. What's your total screen time? The whole day, the average. No, what's the average? Yeah, the day's not finished. Yes, how many hours? That's your everyday average. Okay, anyone else? You have 2 hours. Who else? Okay, anyone here? Come on, guys. Guys, how many hours? 11 hours is your average? Sheesh. Yeah. That was your average. Okay, how many people have, anyone here have under 1 hour? Listen. If you have under an hour, I want you to know that your time on your phone speaking does not count in this app. So that means you've been on your phone for at least an hour a day. And you haven't gotten bored of it because that's your average. That means you do it every single day. So now I ask you the question. How many of you guys can make dua for 1 hour a day? Have you do it? Do you do it? Well, so don't raise your hand. You don't do it. No. How many of you guys do it? An average. How many of you guys read Quran for 1 hour a day? All right. Okay. The point is, I can't say my last point if you guys are talking. The point is, young brothers and sisters, is that we don't get bored from our phones. Okay? We don't get bored. So similarly, we should learn how to read the Quran every day because it's a need for us. It's not a need for anyone else but ourselves. The Quran will help us. And I'll end with this narration of the Prophet ﷺ, where he says that on the Day of Judgment, I'll wait for you to finish. The Prophet ﷺ, when he went to Isra wal Mi'raj, he saw many things of people being happy and people being tortured. And as he was walking, he saw a person who was laying there and a big rock was thrown on this person until their head was smashed. And the rock would roll over and that person would be in pain, and Allah would cause this person to reform, and the rock was thrown again, and it would happen again. And so the Prophet ﷺ said, "Oh Jibreel, what is this?" And Jibreel said, "This is a punishment for the one who's given the Quran and they never read it in the day or in the night. They never read it." So you guys have the opportunity every single day to make a choice. Every single day we have a choice. It's how we do it and how we look at it. And so I know right now you don't understand the value of it. You may not understand the value of it. But I can tell you for a fact, if you have the Quran in your life, you'll see barakah and blessings in it from all around, and you won't realize from where and how. And if you leave the Quran, you may be happy temporarily, but you're going to have a void in your heart that will be very hard to fill. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept from all of you, accept from all of us, allow us to be from the people of the Quran. I don't know if there's any questions. We can take questions. Yes. I teach at Hamd Institute. Hamd Institute. HAMD Institute. Check it out on social media. Anyone else? Yeah. It's about 30 minutes away from here.
People in our community that have done so, they wanted like a lot of detail just to make sure that
Okay. There's a question that's asked. There's a question here. Apparently you guys have questions about marriage. You guys are not even old enough to like shave yet, but okay. Let's go ahead and answer this question about marriage. The question is, can Muslim women marry a non-Muslim man? The answer, if you guys already know the answer, then I don't have to answer the question. Seems like everyone knows the answer. Okay, so the answer to this question is no. Okay? And to be honest with you, I know it's a culture thing that should we marry outside of our culture? Is it okay as long as the person is Muslim? Yes, everything's okay. The first thing that you look at in a spouse, inshallah, whenever the time is right for you guys, is about their deen. And I'll tell you guys a really quick story. I went where I was basically a person who was trying to get married, but she had no father. So as an imam, the mom asked me if I could come to their house because someone was bringing a proposal for her. And the mom, mashallah, she's very knowledgeable. She's hafid of Quran. So we're sitting there, and I've been doing this for a very long time. So imagine we're sitting like this, right? So it's me, and then it's the visitors that came, and it's the mom, and it's the daughter, and then they're asking questions. And the general question that people ask is, oh, where are you from? How many siblings do you have? Or, which community are you part of? The mom threw me off. She was like, okay. She was like, so I have a question. So the dad was like, okay, go ahead and ask. So she was like, son, where did you pray Fajr this morning? And I was like, where's the popcorn? I gotta see what the response is. I was like, what? And the guy was like, I prayed in my room. And then the mom, she said, I asked this question. She said, I asked this question because if you don't have a commitment to Allah, how will you have a commitment to my daughter? So, my young brothers who want to get married, make sure your commitment to Allah is good. All right? And you don't look at, the first thing you look at when the person you marry them is you look at their deen and their religion. How well are they? Because they're going to be either the father or the mother to your children. So if they don't have a good relationship with Allah, they won't have a good relationship with everyone else around. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Anyone else have a question? Yes. I have a question. Can I ask a question? Why do you guys talk so much? Like, what do you like? You guys have been here yesterday, today. Aren't you guys tired of talking to each other? No? Can I just ask for 3 more minutes of quiet so we can listen to the question? 3 minutes? Yeah?
How do you balance pursuing success in this dunya in terms of worldly affairs, trying to be most successful in your career, in your field, providing for your family, yourself, and your community as well, and also not neglecting the sunnah, neglecting being a student of also reading the Quran as well, and just having all these good attributes of our faith?
The real answer is that there is no balance. You give priority to your deen and the world comes to you. And so you give priority to waking up, praying your salah, making sure you do your Quran, making sure you fulfill your fard, right? Fasting in the month of Ramadan, so on and so forth. You give priority to that. And once you give priority to that, you realize that everything else will fall in place. You realize that your work will happen. I want you to flip the script for a second. Let's say you work for a company. An average company that's from the 500 Fortune companies has 30,000 employees. What happens the day you say, I want to leave? Do they worry about it? Do they care about it? They replace you within a second. And if you were to leave, the company has one thing. If you were to, let's say you were to get in a car accident and leave this world, they would throw some flowers, everyone would pray for you for a couple minutes, and back to reality. So why do you give that preference? Give preference to your deen. Allah comes first. And once you realize that Allah is in your life, everything else will follow through. The balance will equalize itself. Allah knows best.
If everyone earns Jannah, that why do you have to pursue yourself to inherit the highest Jannah?
But everyone doesn't get Jannah. I mean, inshallah, everyone who says La ilaha illallah will enter Jannah. But the idea is that you don't just want to enter Jannah, right? Like we want to, when you go to someone's house, someone that's very famous, you really want to go through security and the line and all that? Or you just want to go straight? So when you go to Jannah, do you want to go through the hellfire or you just want to go straight? There you go. Answer your own question. Everyone who says La ilaha illallah will eventually enter paradise. But we don't want to go through the pain. We want to go straight. You understand? So you want to do good so you can get the highest level. Now when you're in Jannah, right, do you just want to be in the lowest level of Jannah or do you want to be in the highest level of Jannah? Highest? You sure? You didn't seem so confident. No, but the idea is that you want to be in the highest level. A companion came to the Prophet ﷺ and said, Messenger of Allah, I'm sad. He said, why are you sad? He said that when you leave this world and I leave this world, you're going to be in the highest level of Jannah. I may not even make it. And Jannah is seeing you, O Messenger. Jannah is me being with you. I feel like I'm in Jannah. I'm with you. Prophet said, you'll be with those whom you love. So if you love me, you'll be there. Right? So Allah knows best. Inshallah. Jazakallah khair. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك واشهد ان لا اله الا انت ونستغفرك ونتوب اليك. Please keep me in your du'as. Keep my parents in your du'as. Inshallah. Thank you for having me, inshallah.
said that the women cannot marry non-Muslim. Can the men marry non-Muslim? The reason is because a lecturer came here yesterday and said it is allowed in Islam. So we want you to please clarify because we don't want them. Yeah, exactly. So we don't want them to go with that because some people may not even have the opportunity to listen to something like this. They are going to
Okay, so the sister was asking that if I could just touch about, like, is it okay for men to marry non-Muslim? There are some, there are some, you could say, like, there are some breaking of the rules here to the principle, but it's case by case. So if that does happen in your life, then it's better that you go sit with someone and tell them all the details, and they can tell you if it's permissible or not. But the principle, the main principle that I want you to leave with, is that the first thing you look at is someone's deen. So why it happened and what it is, based off necessity and the time that they were living in back then. And inshallah ta'ala, if it happens in your life, inshallah you can speak to someone. But remember, the first thing you look at is their deen, inshallah.
Allah. All right, can we please give him another round of applause? Thank you very much.
Just one more note, inshallah. Can you please all make dua for Sheikh Hamza Zakriya's mom? May Allah grant her safety. May Allah grant her health back. May Allah let her recover to the fullest of her health. Ameen. And Allah grant him Jannah and everyone in his family. Jazakallah khair.
Thank you.
Takbir! Takbir!
Okay, assalamu alaikum, everybody. I know it's been a while. Y'all have been sitting here listening to back-to-back lectures. I apologize. But we do have a fun activity for y'all. So basically, we have around the entirety of Mu'mineen, the outside, not in the masjid, but the outside, we have hidden small little bags of candy. Now, hey, sit down. Okay, if you get a bag of candy, you get a slap. Go, please go. Okay, wait. Y'all listen to instructions, please. Okay, we've hidden small little bags of candy. The goal is not to eat and consume the candy, because I know y'all like to consume. But the goal is to get as many bags of candy as possible. Bring it back here. We are going to count it. Whoever has the most gets an even bigger bag of candy. Wait. Okay, I won't tell you the little trick we have for you. Okay, go and find the bag with thorns. Calm down. Okay. Among these bags, there are 6 bags that have marks on them. If you get a bag that has a mark on it, the amount of bags you have total, it gets doubled. Everybody understand? So, if you get a bag with a mark on it, it gets doubled. Again, the goal is not to consume. It's not to consume. We need to count it. If you eat the contents of the bag doesn't count. Chetipo, the bag doesn't count. Okay, please be back by 6:15. So if I go outside and I, take somebody else's bag, please fight as much as possible. It's a war.
You see, the people that stay inside, you people have sense, eh? You see that sun? You see, like people like me, I'll just get blacker. That's not wow. No, I don't like.
Oh! How much? Break it, go down. If you want to eat, you want to travel, if you are going further on the if you like to stick in the honey in the middle of the rock. So how are you going to try? You need an axe to break down the rock, to slice it down. But axe, what do you call that? Axe, not the eggs. You know, where do you find that?
So when you pray, if you are the wrong heart, if you are really interested in the money, you must not start at later. But if you look at it, sorry, keep going. Yes. Ladies on the ladies on the like I've never been to school in my life. Yeah, the teacher was on Sunday. You're on the phone in school on Sunday evening. Your ally, your friends, Allah. Allah.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله. أشهد أن محمد رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
Let's go. 17.5. Wait.
But sometimes, I know, but sometimes you have to show it to them like I mean, you understand? So that because when you start saying something, when you look at the picture on the screen, global scale, it doesn't really resonate. But when you think about what's about you, after a day, after a week, after a month, and I think it carries along. And you see that I've been walking around. And I only use my phone when I need it. That's the personal self. I invite them because I understand I don't have so I need to use. Because I can't run out. I've now come to 25%. So I'm going to do that. I have not gone to Nigeria. I'm not just cheap practice. I'm not doing things that are not good. When I was I think really because I realized but like now let me repeat. Now for every Nigerian, so imagine 25 of their life related, they get like 1,000 multiplied by that. So some people are making you don't get why you are waiting. So that's what I'm doing. Like I said, like God.
Ah. Where's the phone? Wait for everyone to come in. What type of phone? What type of phone? You lost it. Who lost your phone? Oh. If any of y'all find a key, please bring it up here. Someone lost their keys. It was house keys, car keys. What car? If any of y'all like could look around you and see if there's any car keys around you for a Camry, that would be much appreciated. We're looking for a car key. A car key. Camry. They have complaints that the lectures are too much and they would want outside activities. I don't even know why they'd want to do outside activities. I'm gonna keep it straight. So after this is raffle. Did y'all finish the Jubilee? I just do the Jubilee then. I feel like they'd have more fun than doing the Kahoot. They don't gotta. Hey, the gifts can just go to us. You feel me? For all the work we put in. All the MCs. And Fawaz lost his car keys.
Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you. Everybody, please sit down. If your friends are outside, please tell them to come inside. We have some prizes to hand out, and it wouldn't be fair to them if we call their raffle ticket and they're not here. So please go and call your friends. In the meantime, please try to pick up anything that's on the floor, and we'll get started in like a minute.
And ask them to look for a car key if they can find one. And I already said it to them. They don't listen.
If you haven't gotten a raffle ticket, please raise your hand. Or if you want another raffle ticket, raise your hand.
Man, I didn't get no raffle ticket to begin with. Hey, yeah. Okay. Man, Loki, these are. How much is this gift card? Wait, so you're gonna call the number on the ticket or something? Are you gonna call the number on the ticket or something? Uh-huh. Oh, that's why tickets were being given out. Cause I got one yesterday, but I done left it at home. I didn't know what the. Huh? Sure, I can do raffles. No, actually, I wasn't going to, but I can. Like to me, it's either or. And who's actually like recording? Who's recording like?
Okay, sorry. Go. Everybody, please sit down. Girls, please call your friends. I know there's no many more of y'all. We're doing scavenger.
Yo, dinner is Indian food. Dinner is Indian food. And none of them found the little candies hidden inside the hall yet. I just don't know where it's at. Like, where did they? Like, where did y'all put it? Though, like within the doors or just this hall?
All I know is there's one 100% sure that there's two 100% sure.
I'll look in the rooms, bro. I just don't know. Bro, let me get some tickets. I didn't even get it.
Girls, please call your friends. Why is it taking this long? Have to leave. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, we're gonna start the scavenger hunt. So everybody bring out the bags that they got. And then we're just gonna start with a very drastic number, and then we'll go down, and whoever has the number. Sorry, lowest to highest. Oh, look who decided to join us. Just go give it. Okay, please sit down. Oh. Okay, we're gonna start. Raise your hand if you got one bag. And mind you, there's no saying, oh, I got 50 bags without proof. I will count each and every one of them. So there's no purpose in lying. Raise your hand if you got one bag. Assalamu alaikum. Boys, raise your hand if you got one bag of candy from the scavenger hunt. All y'all that were having, oh, Lord have mercy. Raise your hand if you have 2 bags of candy from the scavenger hunt. 3 bags. 4 bags. 5. 10 bags. 15 bags. 15 bags. 20 bags. You know what? 20, 20, 20. How is that possible when we only hit 200? Ira. You, okay. Ira. Okay. Let's go back to 15. Raise your hand if you have 15 bags. Sultan, where's your bags? Then you lose. Some people have more. Oh, 12. Don't worry. Well, don't worry. Don't count the marked ones just yet. We'll figure that out later. Okay, raise your hand if you have 25 unmarked bags. Where's your bag, Sultan? Because you're raising your hand and you don't have any bags. Raise your hand if you have 25 unmarked bags. Did y'all count? Okay, raise your hand if you got a marked bag. It has a drawing on it. Raise your hand if you got a marked bag. Sultan, if you don't have a marked bag, please put your hand down. It's just messing up the count. It's not even funny. Okay, first, let's restart this. Come on. Count how many bags you have. Yes, that's the mark. You have a marked bag? Okay. She has 2 marked bags. You have 1. There's 3 more left. Who else has a marked bag? Okay. So this is a consequence of y'all warning out while we were listening. If y'all had stayed in y'all seats, we would have told y'all that the marked bags were here inside the hall. But instead, y'all decided to run outside. So nobody gets those double points. Even if you find it now, it doesn't count. Excuse me. You have marked bags? You have 2? And you have 2? Oh, yeah, doing this study. Okay. So I want y'all to count how many unmarked bags you have. If you have a marked bag, come up here and I'll tell you what to do.
She fell, turn around.
35 unmarked. And do you have a marked bag? So they have 70 bags. So right now they're in the lead. They have unmarked 35 and they have a marked one, which makes it 70 now. Huh? Oh. How many do y'all have over there? How many unmarked do you have? 45 unmarked bags. You, come here. Let me count. You, come here. Oh. Okay. You have how many? You have to count specifically. Okay, right now you have 70. He has 70. They're counting for final count. Please don't do lies. I'm watching you. 1. Wait. No, this one doesn't count.
11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34.
You're at 35 now. 37, 39, 40. I told y'all were not trying. How? How do they have almost 40 bags now? 46. 53, 54, 55, 56, 56, 57. Okay, 57 times 2. Quick math. 100 and wait, 140. Who said 112? 114 bags. Y'all can eat the candy. Who is the representative? Omar. Wait. Before y'all break the bag, take a picture. Go over there and take a picture. With the bag of candies, please. Okay. Oh, and the YC doesn't matter. Okay. Okay. Now we're gonna call out our raffle winners for today. A lot of people got more than one for just in general good behavior and for prizes. So far, the raffle winners have only been girls. So please, let's step up our game. Did we have something where they said we were going to do extra prizes? Oh, okay. So, first number, sorry. Wait, let me get my... First number. Everybody, please pay attention. We're only going to say it once. 888-507. 888-507. No? Next number. I'm going to do this rapid fire. I'm only saying each number twice. If you miss it, that's your problem. 888-605. 888-605. 88. Did you? Oh. We have a winner. Please, just show them what you got. Just because They think we do them bad individually. I get gift card, computer mouse, candy, and gum. Please go and sit down. Congratulations. No, we have the second one. Okay, next numbers. 888-502. 888-502. Ah, he got it. We didn't do a Joro, he got the exact same thing. This is the first boy. Congratulations. Okay, so now we're gonna do a Kahoot. I think there's also a prize for a Kahoot, so you want to win.
Yo, actually. Alrighty. I'm gonna need everyone to sit down, please, as we start this Kahoot. I think, yes, sit down. Then why ask? Bye. Anyways, I need all of y'all to sit down, get your phones out. We're gonna put the Kahoot code on a board really quick now. That's what they're trying to do. Is there